All right, so something a little different today. I've decided to return to a place that I painted maybe 12 years ago. When I first started painting plein air, one of the challenges was finding places to paint. And I had seen people painting in this area. I knew it was kind of a popular plein air spot. So I came out and I did a bunch of paintings. And what I thought I would do is return to this spot, do a painting, and then we'll go back to the studio and I'll dig out the paintings that I did in 2007 and compare and see if there's any difference or whatever. All right, so I'm thinking of experimenting with these trees here because this is the scene that I did before, and it could be fun to compare, you know, paintings of the same scene. All right, so it's really important to take your time and find a good composition. If your composition is bad, you basically have to start over. So I really feel like it's time well spent to really think it out and not just jump in because the light is perfect or whatever. And that's something that I used to do when I was a starting painter. I was kind of like, I just set up and go. But I'm realizing if you want a painting to work out, you've really got to think it out, maybe even do some sketches. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Here's a 3x4, so it'd be like for a 12x16. All right, so I think I'm gonna go with this. Somebody asked what I do with my used liquid. This is from like 3 days ago and it's still fine. What I do is I have like a plastic bag that I carry around my used paper towels. So when I'm done painting, I just take my palette cup and I throw it in here. I don't even seal it, I just kind of crumble it up like this and throw it in my backpack. I'm almost out of paper towels. I keep rags in the bottom of my backpack, so I will just use this old rag. Okay, so I'm all set up with my Anderson easel. I've got a 16 by 20 inch panel. I decided to go with a little bit larger panel than I originally thought. I've got liquid as my medium, and then odorless mineral spirits, extra liquid in here, kind of a random assortment of brushes, and then cadmium yellow lemon, titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and some viridian green there, or I guess it's just viridian. There is some cad red light, although I don't think I'll really use that. I like the idea of having a large tree off to the left and then this other tree which is actually closer, and then maybe I'll have this distant tree. I like the lead in here, the road. There's gonna be shadows cast across the road. I wanted to make sure that the angles are not like exactly the same on both sides. So this one is more vertical, this one kind of goes off to the right more. So at this point I have established my shadow pattern and just kind of focused on the darks, and because this is really, you know, the vital part of the design. So now I'm going to start putting in some of the greens and some of the lighter colors. Might start with the sky. I am starting off with a mixture of titanium white with a little bit of phthalo in it, and I'm adding a bit of liquid to it. I wanted to get all my lights laid in because I wanted to have saturation in the lights, and I'm going to adjust my darks to make sure that I maintain that feeling of light. As you can see, like the sky and the trail and this sort of dead grass is really bright. All right, so I want to mix up warm green for the eucalyptus trees that's kind of a little darker than mid-value. And so I made a green and then I added alizarin crimson, and it makes a really nice olivey warm green. So I am going to stop here. The main thing I wanted to do was get a nice feeling of light on this trail, but we'll go back to the studio and take a look. Okay, so I think I have the painting somewhere over here. I remember they were 11 by 14s. Okay, looks like I did 6 of them. All right, so here's the first one, and these are panels that have linen on them. It was like masonite panels, and I glued a sort of medium weave linen. This path is kind of awkward and straight right here. I noticed that right away. Sky holes are kind of in the trees here, are in these kind of random places. I like this little pop of light drawing the eye back. All right, so this one might have been further down the trail. Again, sort of an awkward, I would never do that now, like compose with the trail going right off the corner. I don't mind this tree here. There's nice light on the top. Actually, I think using canvas, you're able to scrub in some darks and then come over with substantially lighter paint and get some nice contrast. I don't mind the composition except for, yeah, I don't like that path. That could have been more in the middle. That might have been better. One thing I noticed right away is I put my signature way too dark. I don't know, these two shadows just like look like two parallel lines. That's something that I would not, I would have noticed right away if I was painting that today. There's some things I like about it. I like that this shadow is a little more irregular, but the shape is a little strange. How it's kind of like a loop. although the trail goes off to the corner, I guess it doesn't really bother me as much because it sort of winds. I don't know, I like those hills too, actually. And I like how you can see some warmth in the shadows here. I do like that, and I like how the shadow pattern is somewhat irregular, goes through the path and then over to the other side. I think the trees could have been a little more dense. There's something about these two bushes that is kind of awkward. How it's got this little bump, this little space in here. I kind of like this little bit of red over here. Again, signature, I think on all of these is going to be too dark. You know, I made these hills in the back red, so they're not as warm, not as much yellow, so it kind of pushes them back. I do like that. So there's a decent sense of depth. The top of this tree probably could have just been solid. This one has a sticker on the back, which means I probably showed this in some kind of show, so I must have thought this was the best of the group. Although looking at it now, I don't think so. I'm not sure which one is the best, but like this branch is kind of awkward how it comes out and touches the other one. Again, the trail is kind of awkward. This bush going up is kind of awkward too, or this like, yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't think that is the best one. But I did show it somewhere, it looks like, because I had a sticker on it and all my information. All right, let's look at the one I did today. I do like, I think there's convincing light on the path. And that was kind of my main focus, was to try to get the path to seem, I don't know, true or real, something real about it, even though the brushwork is kind of loose. So I do feel like the light is good. I like it when you can see into a shadow so that the shadow is not so dark that it just looks pasted on. And I do feel like these shadows have, they're illuminated shadows. And what else? I like the shape of this tree here. And it might benefit from a cropping a little bit. I'm not sure. I'll kind of play with, I'll play around with that. All right, so this was a fun little experiment. Honestly, I was a little bit nervous when I came home. I was thinking, what if the paintings I did 13 years ago are actually better than the one I did today? But I actually do like the one I did today much better. I think the composition is stronger. The colors, there's more interesting variations in the colors. And what I did was I really tried to focus on, like, say, warm and cool shifts within the light areas, and then also in the shadow areas as well. And trying to get those, variations in color. What was I going to say? Oh, I've been looking at a lot of Isaac Levitan, and I've talked about him in previous videos. But I just feel like those paintings are really amazing because they can be loose or they can be kind of tight, but it doesn't really matter. He always seems to capture some truth about the scene, whether it's the light or the colors. But there's something about them that seems so real. And I really want to get that, I want to sort of move in that direction so that I, can capture that in my paintings. And I feel like looking at those Levitan, I'll link it down below, in fact, in the description. I've been looking at a compilation video here on YouTube that has all of Levitan's not all, but a lot of Levitan paintings. And I just watch it when I go to sleep at night. And I'll pause on on paintings that pique my interest, and then I'll really study them and look and try to figure out what he's doing. I think that's been really helpful, because you got to remember that a lot of how you paint, it's all up here. It's your perception, knowing what you're looking for on your canvas or your panel while you're painting. And there's no better way to do that than to actually study really good work, really good paintings. Anyway, that's it for me for today. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm exhausted. But as usual, thanks for hanging out. Stay creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.